Let's kick off proceedings with the champion harness racing trainer, Andy Gath, here on the Best from the West. Andy, hello to you.
Yeah, g'day, Gareth.
First of all, talk us through what happened there with Catch a Wave yesterday, and obviously the deals that were going on, and you had to make a few phone calls to get out of one deal and then make another deal.
Yeah, obviously, I know some journalist put on Twitter that Don Hugo
that was
wasn't
me.
going to go to the Nullarbor.
Yeah.
So, so we thought, maybe there's a slot available, and actually, heard from a couple of other people where I spoke to Tony LaCastro and the owner of Don Hugo and said if his slot was available, and he sort of said, there's no decision made yet, we'll sort of sit on it for the next 48 hours. So then, I heard the Rams syndicate were looking for one. Obviously, they had Lavajo and he's got a miss, unfortunately, and then they were trying to get Tack McLeod over. But, he sort of wanted to head home. They didn't want to sort of head that way to Perth. But so, had a conversation with the Matthews family, and I said, we may have opportunity to go to Perth, which is probably always our first option, but we didn't have a slot. So that's why we chose to go to Cambridge. But they ultimately left it up to me, and I spoke to Cameron Byers from the Rams syndication. They were keen to take me on, and then obviously I spoke to the Matthews family, and obviously they got a slot in the Cambridge race that they had to look for a horse, so we're happy to take Tack McLeod on. So we've actually swapped spots with Tack McLeod, I think. So that's how it sort of happened.
I can't understand that, Andy. You would have got a slot easy for the Nullarbor. I thought everyone thought that you didn't want to go to the Nullarbor.
No, I always wanted to go, but,
you would have had a slot easy. I would imagine you would have had people ring you up and knock you back, or you knocked them back.
No, didn't get any phone call from anyone, and obviously Rob Tomlinson's got his own horse on the way back, Magnificent Storm, who we were fortunate to have him last year, and Tap Touch always take one of Jason Grimson's, and, Bondi has his own horses, so does Hawley, so, there wasn't a lot available.
Yeah, so I reckon he's a better chance at Gloucester Park than he was at Cambridge. I think the racing suits him, especially he's lacking a little bit of gate speed these days, but we've seen it before over these longer trips at Gloucester Park. If they do go hard and lead time is strong, horses can definitely finish off there at Gloucester Park like he proved there last year.
Yeah, and obviously, going to Perth, obviously, you got the extra option of the Fremantle Cup a week after, so you get two bites of the cherry. So, just because we won them both last year doesn't mean we'll this year, but, we're looking forward to go there. We sort of know what's ahead of us, so we'll be a little bit more prepared. And, I think the horse is in great order. He's going really well, so they're looking forward to get back over there. From
a horseman's point of view, did you consider what Tony's trying to do with Luke McCarthy and do both races?
Depends on the horse. As previously this horse, he travels really good by road, but when he flew to Perth last year, probably took him a good 3 or 4 days to actually get over the trip. It really knocked him around a bit, and the same when he flew to New Zealand. So, he's a horse I wouldn't try it with, but, every horse is different, as we know. We saw what Swayze was able to do, race out young on the Friday and get over and win the New Zealand Cup on a Tuesday. So, it just depends on the horse, but knowing the previous history of my bloke, I wouldn't attempt it.
No. It's going to be some race, this Nullarbor now.
Oh, no, it's going to be fantastic. And obviously, the WA people will be pretty keen to win their first Nullarbor.
Yes.
It probably suits my horse a little bit, because they won't do any favours to any horse over there, and they don't do any favours to their own horses anyway. So that's why racing's so great over there. It's just sort of hit the ground running the whole way, and if you're good enough, you're good enough. So so it's going to be a great race.
We had Grimo on Giddy Up this morning, and he was basically getting stuck into the locals once again, saying that they're probably disrespected his horse in a way, Swayze, by talking up a tough game. And there's going to be fireworks. There's no doubt about that, especially if, one of the locals draw to lead, like a Mr. Smarty, and Swayze comes and eyeballs him.
Like Swayze probably lacks a little bit of gate speed, and, he probably the only way he's going to find the lead if someone actually gives it to him. And he showed on probably half-mile tracks. He probably, takes a bit of, it's not that easy for him to get top speed up on those tracks. So he's probably going to be a horse that, going to have to work pretty hard to earn his win over there.
Yeah, well, I think you can't take Albury into consideration regarding a half-mile track. That was like a track that it was like racing at Birchip in a way. No disrespect to Birchip, but that's impossible to do what he did that night, being there at Albury. But I think Gloucester Park's a different a different ball game. I think you'll see what happens there on Gloucester Park's a far better track than Penrith, and I think he'll be able to handle Penrith on Saturday night. I think at the moment, watching Swayze, I don't think he's ever gone better, basically.
Oh, no, he's in unbelievable form, and he looks magnificent too, for all the hard racing he's had. He's in a retention barn with my bloke there on the weekend, and he's just in great order, hasn't sort of lost any weight, and, just, fronts up each week, just performing at a pretty high level. So, he's had a big season, but by no means is he getting tired at the end of his preparation, to my mind.
So my understanding here is in the Nullarbor, and I apologise, I thought it was a little bit close to the race in the Nullarbor, but I was sort of right because I was hearing different things, and I rarely make a mistake, Andy, but I did make a mistake, slight mistake there yesterday, but so Don Hugo's going to New Zealand, he'll go back to Perth, so you'll have to fly to Sydney, then catch the charter flight, which is doable when you have a look at the schedule, but it's still going to be... he'll have to be a horse that can handle it. In saying that, Swayze did go to Young and then jumped on a plane on Sunday, went to Auckland, then went to Christchurch and won a New Zealand Cup. So these standard breeds are wonderful animals.
Yeah, so every horse is different. Not to be critical of Don Hugo, he's probably touched plane in the Hunter Cup, the run he had, so maybe that trip down took a bit out of him. Who knows? And every trip's different, so you just... but, to have sort of so many good horses racing at the moment, it's fantastic, really.
Yeah, so Don Hugo surprised me a little bit during the Menangle Carnival because I didn't think he was that good. I thought he was just a horse in the right place at the right time. He won an Inter-Dominion that lacked a little bit of class for an Inter-Dominion. He won a Eureka after Luke pulled everyone's pants down basically in that Eureka when he went forward and walked and sprinted home. But then what he did, he's been beaten into the Dominion heat at Newcastle when he led. And you think, maybe if he cops pressure this horse, he's vulnerable. But then he did what he did in that heat of the Miracle Mile, went 148. And then whether Dixon probably did, we debated this a little bit today. Did Dixon put enough pressure on him mid-race there in the Miracle Mile, Andy? I think that's up for debate because you could be a victim of, if he does that, then he's vulnerable from someone on his back. I don't know, but I don't know. What do you make of all of that?
Yeah, I did speak to Grant after the race, and, he sort of thought the same, but he said he had to work that hard to get outside the leader, and when he sort of got there, he sort of, Leap to Fame was just felt a bit flat and just sort of had to wait for him to get back on the bit before he could put some pressure on. So, he was probably a victim of circumstances. I think, probably no one expected Max Delight to come out and he just had to work that little bit harder to get outside him. And, when you're as good as Leap to Fame is, even if you, at some stage, you still need some little bit of a breather. Yeah,
he went quicker than he did last year to win, I guess. But whether Don Hughes, Luke seems to get away with things like that, to get away with the middle half in a race like that. Only Luke McCarthy can get away with that. He's sort of got this aura about him in these big races that you see him just bluff the opposition drivers in a way.
Yeah, that's it. He just, everyone knows what a great big race driver is, and it's doesn't have to be a big race for him. A great driver. I think every race he's in, he drives a great race, and it's no fluke why he just keeps winning big race after big race.
So you must be looking forward to this Perth trip, especially if you got you need Don Hugo in this race and Swayze and then Mr. Smarty and the information. I think that Greg Bond was a bit like you. He gave Tony Lacastro a call and said, Tony, if you can't get to the Nullarbor, we'll buy that sly few we'll do a deal with GE. He's a Sport who's in the market that hasn't got a slot. Because Magnificent Storm's going there because obviously he's taken up the slot that you had last year. And then there's a few others that might have a slot because they're owned by the owners of the slot, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, again, looking forward to getting back there. It was such a great carnival, especially with the three of them. The dogs on the Thursday night, the trots on the Saturday night, and the gallops on the Saturday. To have all the three slot races all in a row, it's one big carnival.
And Junior's looking to get his revenge on Kate after she outdrove him in the Fremantle Cup and the Nullarbor last year.
Yeah, we had plenty of chances there at Queensland to push her out, but I think Kate was too far back in most of the races. He didn't get an opportunity, but no, I think Junior would be worried about winning the race, worried about what Kate's doing, I'd say.
But I'm a bit biased, but Gloucester Park, not biased, Gloucester Park, big race, like a class of field that we'll be seeing in the Nullarbor and then the Fremantle Cup. It's harness racing simply at its best, Andy, I reckon, for everybody involved.
Yeah, no, again, that, I love the fact that I got a slot and going back there. I just loved every minute of it that I was there. It's probably going to be a stronger field this year, which, probably suits my bloke a little bit better. We need people to sort of overdrive a little bit and a quick tempo, but, it just sort of, Kate had a few fears before she left there for last year, but, she had a bit of experience over there now, so she'll be better prepared. I know where my horse is staying. If Bondi lets me stay there again, thanks, Bondi. There's no... we've sort of been there and done that, so it'll be a lot easier for a second time around.
And you looking... Like I know Bjorn Baker used to, like he'll have Overpass there representing Rams Racing, and then the Baker and the Gath show. You'll have to wear a cowboy hat and get your cowboy shoes on. It's like, it's a perfect fit for you, I reckon.
Oh, yeah. I was talking to David Matthews yesterday who was getting the contract from him. I said, is there any clause there that I have to wear a cowboy hat?
You'll be wearing one, I promise you, Andy.
We'll see.
No.
I'm wearing a hat most times, so I'm happy to have any hat on.
No, you'll be wearing the Rams cowboy hat. Don't worry about that. And so will Kate. I reckon she'll be loving wearing a cowboy hat as well. So we wish you the best of luck, Andy. It's great news for harness racing in the West and the Trilogy, and especially for the Nullarbor to have the defending champ back. And next time, if you should have just let me know if you didn't have a slot. I could have got you a slot there within about 2 minutes there, Andy. I didn't know you. I thought you were committed because of the Matthews slot for the race. Anyway.
Well, you're giving away the Don Hugo slot that wasn't available, so I'm not sure I can trust you.
Yeah, well, do you reckon Don Hugo's 100%? I'll ask you this question. Is Don Hugo 100%? Do you reckon he's 100% going?
Obviously, it depends how he performs in New Zealand, how he handles that trip. So, obviously, things can change quick. And,
I think they want to go, but it's not going to be easy.
No, if he went to New Zealand and performed below his best, I'll probably pull the pin. So, we'll just wait and see. But, things can change. I think Catch a Wave was the last one to get a slot last year. And, and Cypher was the last one to get a slot in Eureka, so it doesn't really matter.
No, history tells you.
Yeah. You want to be one of the late ones get picked.
Yeah, that's what I mean. History tells you, like, Overpass was the last horse to get into the Quokka. I told you this story. I was helping Hutchie out with SEN Track, and they were blowing up because we got Kementari in the gallops, and they couldn't get Kementari, which was their option, and then they had to fly on race day. Just took a punt. They were in all sorts of trouble. They were just so frustrated. They'd nearly given up, and they were saying, this is terrible, Collins. We can't get a bloody horse, and so difficult. So they went to Sydney. They tried to talk to Derby Racing. They said, no, we're going to race in the TJ Smith. The rain comes that Saturday morning. They scratch from the TJ Smith. They do a deal to go to the Quokka because the flight's the Monday after the TJ Smith, and then they win and then become the greatest ever sprinter really to grace that turf, the most successful sprinter anyway. 2 Quokkas and 2 Winterbottoms. They'll name a bar after him. So there you go, Andy.
That's it. That's the way it goes sometimes.
Catch a Wave could be the Overpass of harness racing, the gallops, if he can win another Nullarbor.
Yeah, no, hopefully we can, but you can only win it by being in it, and we're in it now, so which is good.
Love your work, Andy. We appreciate your time here with the best from the West on this Tuesday afternoon.
No, thanks, Gareth.
There's the champion trainer, Andy Gath. Well, the Quokka isn't far away, and when you think about who's been thought about regarding the Quokka, it's a bit light on compared to previous years. We know Overpass has locked up his slot as he tries to win another Quokka and a third straight Quokka, of course, for Bjorn Baker, Rams Racing and Derby Racing. But we went through a few of the major contenders the other day, were horses in the market, and we're trying to think about what horses from the East might be suited. And Dynamic Syndications, we all know that they can find a very good horse, and they've got a star mare that competed, of course, in an Everest last spring, and I thought she's come back pretty well this time around in the autumn. I speak of IME, so I thought we'll get the boss of Dynamic Syndications on the show this afternoon, and Adam Watt, to see if he's had any interest regarding IME for the Quokka. Adam, we appreciate your time here on the Best from the West. It's a good afternoon to you.
Thanks, Gareth. Thanks for having me on.
Have you had any interest regarding IME for a slot in the Quokka?
We have, yeah. We're in advanced negotiations at this stage with a slot holder, which are progressing really nicely at this point. Nothing's finalised or locked in at this stage. They were keen to see how she performed on Saturday in the Challenge Stakes, and they were very happy with her performance, as were we, where she didn't get a great deal of luck, and we're pretty keen to look at coming across to the West with her. I
know J-Mac was full of praise of her effort there in the Challenge Stakes at Group 2 level behind Jetty Bill when she was just held up at a crucial stage. So for me, when you have a look at the horses that are a chance of going across from the Eastern States, she fits the bill perfectly. On pace, she loves a firm track, and she should get that there. Well, it's an advantage to be on pace there at Ascot and on a firm track, and she's proven that she can run time of a proper Group 1 horse. She does tick a lot of boxes there for a race like the Quokka.
Yeah, we feel she does. The real sort of key for us is dry ground. You have a look at her race record, 22 starts on good tracks, 10 wins, 6 placings. Her record on soft ground is nowhere near as good. 5 goes for only 1 win, and she's been a bit disappointing on a couple of other occasions on soft ground. So knowing sort of with where we were situated coming into an autumn with her, we sort of had a good look at what was around and available for her. Look, Kieran just couldn't see her getting beaten in the Lightning Stakes first up. He was so confident with the way that she was progressing, and we were just doing cartwheels thinking that the race, with the way that it was, the shape of it, the 3-year-old sort of having to come back and trying to be 1,000-metre horses, we were just so happy until the Monday when NOMS came out and you had a look at the weather forecast, and we thought, oh, really? Typical Melbourne, summertime. It hasn't been a wet Lightning Stakes for years, and this will probably be the year that it was. So unfortunately she came out on that occasion. To be fair, it was probably a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction going to the Oakley Plate the week later. We knew it didn't really suit her, but she was so well, and it was in her backyard, and Group 1s don't come around every week, and we took the opportunity to run her there. Unfortunately, just the race didn't shape well for her. Came back to Sydney, and she's got such a great record at Randwick, and like that Challenge Stakes was really quickly run there on Saturday. They ran exactly the same time, 55.97 there on Saturday as what she did when she won the Concord, beating Bella Nipotina. So 1,100 back to 1,000, 2 weeks between runs wasn't ideal. She didn't have a great deal of room either there on Saturday, and as you sort of highlighted, James was absolutely delighted with the way that she went, and just felt that if she had a little bit more room at the top of the straight, she would have been right there in the finish. So we feel she's going great, and we're pretty keen to look at heading west with her. Obviously,
you've had experience with slot races. You know how to win a slot race. You've won the Pinnacle a couple of times with, of course, the mighty Red Zelen and Everest. So how do you go about working out the best possible deal for you to make sure it's worth going over there in a way? How do you get that balance right?
Look, in terms of slot races, I will just, Red Zell wasn't ours. I wish he was, but he wasn't ours.
Yep.
No, but that's okay. In terms of a slot race, you just have to see the sort of the deal that's there on paper. When you're dealing with a large group of owners, it's just about making sure that you're transparent with them all the way through in regards to prize money, distributions, trophies, what happens to them at the end of a slot race, who owns them, who gets to keep them, etc., and just making sure that you feel it's the right deal for your horse. Now, she is a high-class mare. She's won 11 from 27. She's banked $4.7 million in prize money, and she's rated 115. So if she does go across to the West, we do feel that there has to be a premium for a horse like her. And we have sort of stipulated that in her deal, that we feel that she's at the upper echelon of horses that would be running in a Quokka. And we've said to a couple of slot holders, look, we don't really want to sort of get into a back and forth negotiation. Just come to us with your best offer, and if we feel that it's worthy of a mare like her, we'd love the opportunity to take it and come across.
So when do you need to know by?
Really good question. Look, sooner rather than later. Kieran and I were having a great chat about her yesterday with what the rest of her preparation looks like. We've still got the options that we could go to on the 22nd of a William Reed or a Galaxy. And then we could potentially go from either of those two races and head straight across to Perth, or just freshen and get her ready to go across to Perth. I believe the flight out from Sydney is on around about the 14th or 15th of April.
Yeah, after the TJ,
Yeah. Or alternatively, we wouldn't be frightened of just going a month between runs to the TJ and then 3 weeks into a quokka. Or alternatively, we're happy to go 7 weeks into a quokka. We know she is dynamite fresh. She's had 7 goes first up for 4 wins and 2 minor placings, and second up 7 goes, 3 wins for a couple of minor placings. She's fresh has always been best for her. She's just so explosive when she's on the fresh side. So we're happy to go either sort of 2 weeks into a Reed/Galaxy into a quokka, or 4 weeks into a TJ and then a quokka, or 7 weeks into a quokka. It won't really worry her either way.
So I think she enjoys bong bong as well, so she could have a little bit of a break 7 weeks into a quokka and jump on that flight after the TJ Smith, and she'll be ready to rock and roll. So it's exciting. So when do you think you'll have a decision made?
I'm hoping at some stage this week we'll have pen to paper, but I would say that if the slot holder we're negotiating with drags their feet and someone's listening to this and they've still got a slot and they're looking for a horse, well, there's no ink that's dry on a piece of paper yet, so they're more than welcome to give me a call and have a chat. But the ownership group and Kieran are fairly keen to head across, and we feel that she's the perfect horse to profile for a nice race like that. We'll
see if we can get her into the market with Tab Touch. I don't think she's in the market at the moment. Overpass is the favourite. Western Empire at $7.50. I Wish I Win would be doubtful. Rope Them In. No, he won't be going I Wish I Win. Rope Them In at $9. Ray McNero at $11. There's a few others like Bustling, Shamove Mover. So I would imagine if they put her in the market, she would be definitely one of the favourites there. So I'll see if we can get her in the market now. And
yeah, that'd be great. It'd be very interesting to see where the locals sort of have her in the market. Obviously, we've got a wonderful, healthy respect for Overpass. He's been there and done it many times before, but I think if you have a look at their race records, they're very, very similar horses, and we've got no doubt that she can certainly serve it up to him over there.
Good on you, Adam. Have you got a winner for us with any of the dynamic horses?
Yeah, I hold a little bit of money for Friday for a horse called Spaceballs in the Kembla Grange Classic. She rated through the roof first up, didn't have a great deal of luck second up, and the form out of that race tied in really nicely with the Canberra Guineas on Sunday. And I know Aussie Joe's been delighted with the way that she's trained on, so I'd save a couple of pennies for her on Friday.
Love what dynamic syndications are about, mate. You've done a wonderful job. You've got a good mare on your hands, and and I think it'd be terrific for the quokka if you can head across there and 1,200 metres on a firm track. Look out.
Thank you, Gareth. No, we'd love to be there, and I hear that Western Australia at that time of the year is pretty nice. I know a couple of clients that are already trying to schedule in a trip to the Margaret River and those sorts of places, so we'd love to be there.
Yep, it is a great place. Good on you, Adam. Thanks for your time here on SEN Track with the best from the West. What a night it promises to be there at Cannington on Saturday night with the running of the Galaxy, which is the premier staying event for greyhound racing, of course, in WA, and, of course, the time-honoured Perth Cup, and our greyhound guru and our expert. He's a superstar trainer, but what a judge he is as well. Shayne Williams joins us. Shane, thanks for joining us, mate.
Thanks, Gareth. I'll have to give you that 50 later on.
No, you've been tipping You've been tipping the house down when I see all of your tips on the Tab Touch social media platforms, and you're also going well from a training perspective. And geez, you were stiff just to miss out on getting a starter in the Perth Cup.
Yeah, I was a bit sick, actually, Gareth. That feeling, just to go down by a head in the heat of the Perth Cup. Obviously, this year was cutthroat. All the winners went through, but. In saying that, I think Vincent Bale might have had an off night. He only went 29.80, and my bloke was sort of coming to get it in late. So But anyway, it was still a big thrill. We're in a consolation, but it's going to be hard to win as well, Gareth, if dogs like smooth playing and that in it. So anyway, we'll give it our best crack, mate.
I competed. I don't know if I made a Perth Cup final with our dog that we had with Ryan Hill and Brad Parham and the jockeys, Kiss Me Linda. I think she might have.
I think she might have made it 2 years.
Yeah, she made it 2 years. How dare I forget? But it's like there's a lot of, like you, as you know, training greyhounds, and it happens a little bit in the other sports as well, the other codes. But it's like a preliminary final there on Saturday night, isn't it? There's so much on the line. And if you win, you're in. And if you get beat by a nose or you're unlucky, you miss out on the big dance, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was like that, and I reckon it's the first time we've had 8 heats for quite a while. Normally there's been 5 or 6, but I think this year there's been a lot of Eastern State Raiders come over and have a crack, so more than what there usually is. So, and they look like they're going to be hard to beat in both the finals, Gareth.
Yeah, so you had Ripper Moses. Vincent Bale was successful. Just having a look at the box draws now, because they were held there on Monday night, so the markets are open for the Perth Cup and the Galaxy. Deadly Avengers drawn box 1 at $3.50. Steve Withers and Joe Ball combining there. Mapunga Tally, we know how talented this greyhound is box 2. Miss Envy, the star from WA, she's at $4.60, but that's a tough draw. And Vincent Bale at $6.50. Morton, who's at $8. He's been around for a long time, but he keeps on showing up. And then you've got Brower K Summer at $10, Rare Speed at $34, and Maximum Cooner, the roughie, at $41. Who are you tipping in the Perth Cup, mate?
Well, Gareth, I was upstairs in the Box 1 restaurant, which you know well. We've had a few pints up there together, and I had the great privilege of watching the gum trees blow in the wind up there, Gareth. But what I did do is I had a good head-on look at the start of the boxes in the Galaxy, and Mapunga Tully, I didn't know this, but she came out beautifully, and she wanted to get to box 3 or 4 halfway up the straight, so I was thinking she does that a fair bit. I was thinking maybe Deadly Avenger could get that run up along the inside. It was going to get plenty of room anyway. He was good in his heat. He was in the last race, so I think moving to an earlier race for him might be a bit of a help for him as well. So, but there's plenty of chances. But if I was to pin one down, it would be definitely Deadly Avenger at $3.50, just getting that lovely run up along the rail. So you're tipping Mapunga Tally will help Deadly Avenger win this Perth Cup? 100%. Yeah, she, like I said, she came out beautiful, but she just wanted to get into the middle of the track, 3 or 4 block from box 3 or 4. So I just thought, Deadly Avenger is going to get every chance off the rail, and he's been a good dog. He made the Silver Chief final. I've seen him there firsthand, and then he went up to Brisbane and won a heat of the Cup up there. So he's well travelled, and I think box 1 he's going to be very hard to beat. When I first moved over here, Gareth, I think the first 4 Perth Cups at this new track was won by the box 1. So yeah, it's difficult. A big advantage. Yeah, and unfortunately, Miss Envy's probably WA's best dog. Would you say that at the moment? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, she's the best by far over here. She hasn't got a good draw there, unfortunately, but you could never say never with her, because I've seen her win from bad draws. We had a real good national sprint final up at Northern, and she drew awkward. I think she drew 6, and I sort of give her no hope in that, but she still was managed to win that. So she's very good, and they say she'll strip a bit fitter from her heat as well. So you can never underestimate her. But for me, it's the Red Deadly Avenger. And we've seen many a good dog get beat at Cannington. It's not easy. Like, they might have a trial and then they race, but some can go backwards and some can go and improve out of sight from their heats, their heat wins there in a Galaxy final or a Perth Cup final. Yeah, you're 100% right. I think they've learnt their lesson. They come over here the last 2 or 3 years not trialling, just going straight into the heat, and I don't think any of them have qualified. So this year they all come over. Some of them run in the prelude and the week before, and some of them had trials, and they've sort of learnt their lesson. Our lure's a safe chase lure, which is no cable. So it's a very quiet lure compared to Meadows and Sandown. So they have to sort of adjust to that. But they all done the right thing this year and come over and had a look. Ethanol Waters at $2.70 with Tab Touch, Black Silence at $4.20, and then Groove Bird might have been at $5.50 in the Galaxy final. Ethanol Waters, she's been a star, hasn't she, throughout the staying season? She certainly has. She's the best dog in this race, and I think she will appreciate not having box 8 to contend with. It's a very hard box to get over. There's only a short run to the first turn in the 700-metre races, and she's had the 8 in the heat and in the prelude. obviously in the prelude she got the job done, and she didn't have any luck last week in the heat, but managed to get through. So I think box 3 for her is a big advantage, and getting closer to the rail early on. And I thought the other one, Gareth, might have been trained by Mini Fin in box 7. It went ridiculous splits last week, and I think it could be the leader in this race. So around about the $5, I'd be happy to have a bet on it each way.
Yeah, $5.50 might have been. We all know, even in a Galaxy, if you're out in front at Cannington and out of trouble, you're halfway home.
Yeah, 100%. And normally, I won't say it in this race, but normally there's some dogs that step up to the 700 that can't stay. But I think this field, they all can sort of get the trip quite easily. But that 29.60 split, I haven't seen that for a long time. And Minnie Finn's a good friend of mine. I did speak to her after the box draw, and she was very happy with the draw out there. So might be hard to beat in the Galaxy, but definitely Ethanol Water is the danger. And I said to Peter O'Neill early in the week, last week, I said, we're going to have our... it's a hard task for us to hold both the cup and trophy this year. Could be going back over East, both of them. So I still think that as well. I think the Eastern State Raiders have got our measure this year, Gareth.
Just quickly on the Sand Groper, Miss Envy was snapped up by Tab Touch, that's right. So she's at 5. Sports Bet, is she, Miss Envy?
Bet.
Yeah, Sports Bet. Mint Bet's got Kenya All Class, which I found interesting. I don't know if... I reckon he's a stayer, not a 500-metre dog. Your thoughts there?
Yeah, well, I totally agree. In saying that, though, the dog last year, trained by Ian Cockerell, what's his name? It just escapes me. But he won the Sand Groper coming from last.
Hector Frawley. Hector
Frawley, that's him, yeah. He won it coming from last. But around Kennington, you do need early speed. And Tab Touch have gone with Tim Zoo. That was announced yesterday. So the Thompsons will have a two-prong attack. They've got their own slot, and Tab Touch have chosen Tim Zoo.
So we had Jason Thompson on Giddy Up this morning, and I was... obviously they won the Phoenix for the first time with their superstar greyhound Explicit, who's now been retired. So they've got their own, and they had Explicit done nice and early. Jason Thompson identified this dog as his best dog. So he said, well, he's representing me because I paid for the slot. It's the best possible outcome that I can have. So Tim Zoo, but in saying that, usually Tab Touch do the best deal in a way. Obviously, they buy this slot from a marketing perspective, and I think personally Tim Zoo's the most marketable dog in the field. He's captured the imagination of greyhound racing fans, and he sort of transcended the sport a little bit with the way that match race victory was unbelievable Phoenix night, but the way that he's been able to race and come from impossible spots, he's been a dog that's become really popular. So I think he's a perfect dog for Tab Touch. Trained by Jason Thompson, he's got a profile. And I reckon they might have given Jason Thompson Connections a deal that's too good to be true, like a better deal than what Jason could have given the owners, if you know what I mean.
100%, Gareth. To be honest with you, I was in talks with Tab Touch with Iconic Chat, but unfortunately he went amiss. So they've chosen Jason's dog, and why wouldn't you want him here? You know, you want the best dogs in the race to attract the crowd and then there's turnover. So he's going to have a two-prong attack. He's got his own slot, and Tab Touch have chosen Tim Zoo. So it's only about 6 weeks away, Gareth, 5 weeks away. Any chance of seeing you over here?
Yeah, I think I'm there this year. I'm looking forward to it. So we'll have a lot of fun. I'll be there Thursday, Friday and Saturday. And I'm just, with the golden Easter egg so close, it'd be interesting to see which rein that Jason Thompson pulls with his dogs. Hopefully it's Excavation. That I reckon if I was a betting...
That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I'm hearing Excavation is coming over for his slot. But he's got plenty of choices, Gareth, so it's a embarrassment of riches for him. But
he wouldn't give too much away, Shane. I nearly got it out of him this morning, but we'll see what we can do. Hey, have you got any winners for us this week?
I've got a little bitch called Curious Georgia in tomorrow night at Kennington. She broke the track record last week, so hard to back up from when you break a track record, but she's got box 5 in a 381 tomorrow night at Kennington. She'd be my best chance this week for sure. Great
to catch up with you, Shane. You're a superstar. You do a wonderful job in promoting the greyhound industry in the West, so we appreciate your work here on The Best from the West on SEN Track on this Tuesday afternoon.
Yep, no worries, Gareth. Any time for you, mate, and we'll catch up over the Western Trilogy.
Can't wait, mate. Thanks for that. There's Shayne Williams there. Grant Williams just a little bit busy, so we'll see if we can catch up with him tomorrow for the Western Whip Around. But Peter Anthonisz joins us. What a replacement. G'day, Pete.
G'day, Gareth. A little bit of a different replacement. That's all good.
It's been a busy day. I want to go back and have a chat to you about these feature 3-year-old races in Western Australia there on Sunday, of course, at Ascot. We had a chat to Mitchell Pateman with the Glasgow Lass. Hadn't she that was a terrific victory, well-deserved victory. And she looks like she can stay as well. She's going to be mighty hard to beat, and a Natasha and also an Oaks.
Well, I mean, just purely on the fact that it was a properly run race. I mean, often you see that at the 1,800-metre start, they can really inject some tempo into it. But look, they've gone really fast here for the class. It's a proper figure. It's about as good a figure as you can see from a 3-year-old in WA, maybe outside of a Northerly Stakes. So, look, if that's any indication, she's on track for some really nice performances. Obviously, there's probably a few queries. You know, a couple of the runners back in the field maybe didn't have the best run in transit, but, you know, she was there in the spot and she still was there to be beaten, I thought, late. But I thought she and obviously Machine Gun Gracie, they were the two I thought that were obviously on speed and really impressive going through the line. So lovely training performance there from Mitch. Obviously, she had quite a few excuses in her first 2 starts this preparation, and you could probably make the argument that she should be unbeaten so far in her career. So she's a very nice horse for obviously the team and obviously Yulong as well.
Yep. So Too Soon was too good in a Lex Piper Stakes for Ground and Lard at Williams. Can we read too much into that race, however, because how slow they went? I thought All Grunt was mighty in defeat.
Well, I mean, I agree. Jared Noffke sort of had no real other option there. He had to take off and try and make the race his own, and yet obviously Too Soon really just lengthened through the line, but entitled to do so off that tempo. If you want to compare tempos just purely between it and the race after, I know they weren't the same distance, but there was the best part of 14 lengths in terms of speed differential between the two of them. So taking both of those races and then try and combine them going forward is going to be a little bit of a challenge. But look, as you said, Too Soon was out in front, and that's, you know, probably the best place to be in a small field. So I wouldn't take anything away from either of the top 2 across the line there.
We just had Adam Watt from Dynamic Syndications on talking about I Am Me and how they want to get across there for the Quokka. Obviously, she's competed in Everest, but that was a wet track. She wants a firm track. Do you think she would be I reckon she'd nearly be an ideal horse from an eastern state perspective for a race like the Quokka, Pete.
Look, I think so. If you go back to her base of ratings over the last couple of years or so, certainly just on a firmer track and the ability to put itself into the race, it's, again, half the battle there at Ascot most of the time. So I think that would be a relatively astute sort of, you know, selection there for a race like the Quokka. We're still just, I guess, waiting to see what the makeup of the field's going to be like. But we'll get a few clues as to some of the local representation this Sunday, Gareth, with the Bluff Knoll. So the field's just been selected for the slot holders there. And, yeah, it looks like it's going to be a competitive field anyway. Yeah,
looking forward to the Bluff Knoll and at Albany. We'll preview that race as well as the week goes on. But, yeah, I think that I don't know if you'll have a Bluff Knoll. Whoever wins a Bluff Knoll, I don't think they'll be good enough to win a Quokka, Pete, however.
Well, look, I would say Rope Them In's probably the one that interests me the most out of that field. I know, obviously, there's going to be some believers in Snowdome, given how that horse has gone the last couple of starts. Almighty Class probably will have claims as well. The Best of Norwich this prep's been very good, but yeah, Rope Them In's the one. I want to see how that horse has come back. Obviously, it's a nice little assignment for him first up, but he's going to have a few more starts, you'd think, before a Quokka. And the way he improved with the blinkers on last preparation was very impressive.
Yep, so the field is out. You've got I Am Spartacus, Brian Fuller, Alan Smith, Oxbridge, Bridge Patrol, Divine Belief, Ridgeport Holding, Snow Dome, Rainbow Coast Insurance Brokers, Keep Reading, Four Mug Syndicate, Gift of the Heart, Rope Them In for Wolf Racing, the Chief Racing Syndicate, Mood Swings, Lexington City, Ram Racing, Norwich Goldfront Thoroughbreds, Genjimi Racing, Scissor Step, Delta Agribusiness, Rule the Rocket, and Almighty Class, Peniza Brothers. So that's the field there. Looking forward to it. Pete will analyse that race as the week goes on. We appreciate your time here on this Tuesday afternoon.
Anytime, Gareth.